Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Javier with The Real Javier Novoa, a channel, a platform, and a modality where we apply the principles of interiorism to living free. And ladies and gentlemen, I have had sort of a few days hiatus. I am working now in the developmental stages of a startup, and I will say no more, but know that it has to do with living free, and you'll be hearing very soon some details about that as that gets underway. Remember, never tell anyone about your projects when they're in the developmental stage, so that's all I'll say. But we are working on a model of living free that we can share and perhaps help others to replicate. Of course, giving that through this channel, disseminating that through this channel, so stay tuned for that. And guys, I just wanted to briefly come to you because I've been getting some emails. I have been doing coaching calls, and this question has come up a lot because in a lot of the modalities of manifestation, a lot of the modalities of law of assumption, law of attraction, especially even through the works of Joe Dispenza, there's a lot of talk about amending your behaviors, amending your thoughts, writing down your thoughts. For example, Joe Dispenza takes us through a methodology where you write down your thoughts, you write down your behaviors, and you write down your feelings. Then you memorize those, and then you actually then segue into the person you actually want to be. And that's a very useful modality. It is. And in fact, I think the greatest benefit of it is that it will help you start to observe what you're doing in the moment so that you can then revert to who you really are. But the thing is, guys, a lot of people are getting wrapped up in this process. They're saying, okay, again, do I have to do this? And no, you don't have to do it. And that's what I want to make clear in this video. And I've already talked about in other videos, and we'll be making probably infinite videos about it. There's nothing you have to do to get where you want to be because you already are where you want to be. There are a lot of ways that you can build your characters somewhat from the bottom up, but it's not necessary, guys, and it's time consuming. For example, let's say you're a fearful person. Well, to go and list all of the situations that make you fearful, and then to try to catch yourself in each of those situations and try to change that, it works, guys, and it's effective. And I've seen it work time and time again, and it even works to heal diseases. And in fact, many people, when they do get ill, it's always a vibrational thing, they are advised, and even I advise them to go through this process of sort of monitoring your thoughts and so on and so forth. It helps. But this is bottom up, guys. There's a much easier way to do it, and that's from the top down. That's from a knowing of who you are. So when you know who you are, you know that infinite timelines exist within you. So you know that the person you want to be exists on some timeline. Now, that may be far or close to you, but all far from or close to you. But all you have to do is figure out who that person is, then get into the state of that person through whatever technique or modality is easiest for you. You can do it through imagination. You can do it through self-talk. You can do it through a robotic affirming, saying, I am this person. And just go to that. So instead of working on yourself on this film roll, instead of taking all that time to meditate, which is good, by the way, we're not saying don't do this, but instead of taking all this time to write down your behaviors, to talk through your behaviors, to journal through your behaviors, to work on thoughts or feelings, if you can just observe the thought and feeling that comes up and recognize that this is not me, guys. You see, let's say you want to be a billionaire, and of course many people in this work think that you have to feel good in order to get what you want. Nothing can be further from the truth, guys, because I know many wealthy people, and I know many of them are not happy. Now, of course, being happy is good, right? No one can deny that. And to be happy and rich is even better. But you don't have to go and say, well, I must feel happy all the time. That's what a lot of people who are trying to manifest are doing to themselves. They're like, I must feel happy all the time. I must believe all the time. And what you have to realize is that when you get into the state of something, all of that takes care of itself. For example, I want to give a simple example to show you how this is done. So let's say a person wants to be a quarter millionaire. Let's say a person wants to be worth $250,000, but now the person is $40,000 in debt. Well, first that person would be advised to go and think about and even research what a person with $250,000 does so that they can know what it feels like. Then that person would practice that feeling either through just saying, I am that, or through imagining it, or through self-talk. Okay, I have $250,000, and even do some of the things that a person with $250,000 would do. And whatever you can't do, you can fill that in with imagination. So for example, if a person with $250,000 would go to a very fancy hotel and drink in the bar, you could go to that very fancy hotel and sit in the bar, but you can't afford a drink. Okay, buy a cheaper drink, but then imagine that you bought an expensive drink. You see how this is going? I'm not trying to give too specific an example because it's going to be different in each case. But this is how you practice yourself into this. And the videos going forward, we're going to show you how to do that. But you practice yourself into it until you're in that state. And then you walk through your daily life and sort of what Neville Goddard called this was remind yourself of the fragrance of this state. So every now and then throughout the day, just remind yourself, hey, I have $250,000. I'm a person who has $250,000. Now, whenever you have a doubtful thought, or whenever your mind tells you, I don't have this, or you start worrying about money, that doesn't mean that you're not believing. That doesn't mean that you're not persisting. You're still in that state. All it means is you have a temporary feeling or a temporary thought that came, and all you have to do is fill that thought fully and then release it, and you're there, guys. You see how simple it is. And then all you have to do is remind yourself, no, I have that. I am that person who has $250,000. What many people are now trying to do is to go in and say, well, why? First of all, they're asking what's keeping it from me. And by asking that very question, you're telling your reticular activation system in your brain to only see signs that you don't have it. And you will continue to see signs that you don't have it. But if you could just have a momentary shift and say, you know what? I already have the $250,000. And if you don't see evidence, imagine up some evidence. Then you'll be in that state. It's so easy, and it takes only a few seconds to a few minutes. But most people, they want to sell a system, they want to sell a program, so they tell you, no, you have to follow this step, that step, and you have to be disciplined. And you can do that. And again, sometimes when I get off, or when I know that I'm just emotionally off the trail because I've had a few stressful situations, I will sit down and say, no, I'll take 3 days. I'm going to write down all of my thoughts that seem to be in the vibration of stress. Then I'm going to take another 3 days and I'm going to write down all of the feelings that seem to be in the vibration of stress. I'm going to take another 3 days and write down all of the actions. You know, I hardly ever finish those days. You know why? Because that very exercise just gets me back into the mode of observing my thoughts and feelings. And then when I observe them, I say, oh, that's not me. And then I'm just straight back to that. It's like what Abraham Hicks describes as just allowing your cork to float. It's like a cork. If you hold it down in the water, it'll hold down. But the moment you let go of the cork, it floats. So the moment you just let go of those negative thoughts, those negative feelings, and by letting them go, I mean just observe them and let them just pass out of being, come into being, and pass out of being. All you have to do is that. The rest of this, guys, it's a game, it's play, it's fun sometimes, but you don't need to spend a lot of your time. What am I really saying? What I'm saying is, figure out exactly what you want. Because Neville Goddard said, the number one reason, I'm paraphrasing here, but he said the number one reason why people don't see their manifestations is because they're not specific enough in them. And I don't mean getting specific in trying to get it, because that'll make you feel bad. And that's the division that Abraham Hicks makes between going general and going specific. She says if there's more resistance, let's say around money, or around a topic, then don't think about the money. go general. But this is only for beginners, guys. This is only for people who don't know interiorism and don't know that what's on the inner is more real than what's on the outer. Once you know that everything that you think and imagine, everything that you conceive in your throne room of your skull is already happening, past tense, present tense, and future tense, then you don't need to go general. You get very specific and tell yourself, you know what? What is it like to have $250,000? Oh, I already have that. So I can just think about that as a past memory. And that's the last thought that I wanted to remind you of. Vadim Zeland talks about in Reality Transurfing. Bashar talked about it. You see, once you get into a state, remember, there's no time. And we're working on a video about the scientific aspects of interiorism. It relies heavily on physics and so on. Time doesn't exist. Because think about it. When you're remembering a past experience, as Eckhart Tolle so eloquently put, you're doing it now. Eckhart Tolle talks about the fact if we found a way to time travel and travel back to ancient Roman times, that would be now. So where is time? I don't see it. We have mechanical instruments that measure time, and we have something called Bergsonian time, but that's very deeply philosophical. Time doesn't exist. So once you embody that person that you want to be now, you don't have to go back and change behaviors. You don't have to change thoughts. You don't have to change emotions. Of course, you can do it. You don't have to. Why? Because once you're presently the person that you want to be, and you've practiced it, then you become the person who in the past was that person. Because you're on a different timeline with its own past and its own future. I hope you understand me just a little bit. Bashar gave the example of a person who wants to quit smoking. Well, the person can do programs, and of course we recommend do everything you can to be healthy, take supplements, get sun. But the person can go and do whatever health program he or she wants to quit smoking. If he's still in the state of someone who's trying to quit smoking, he will still have that temptation. He'll have to work very hard. But if he can get into the state of someone who is a non-smoker, then let's say he started smoking at 16. He will have erased that past, and it will be as if he has another past where he never started smoking at the age of 16. Yes, you can change the past. Neville Goddard calls it I Remember When, and Neville Goddard also calls it revision. You can revise the past, you can change the past, but you don't even have to go work on changing the past. You can do it in an instant by getting into the state of what you want. So guys, stop working so hard. Stop trying to change yourself. Stop trying to change emotions and thoughts. If it's fun, do it. If it helps you, do it. But it's much easier just to lay down in your bed before you fall asleep and say, you know what? I am a millionaire. I am whatever I want to be. And I promise you, you're going to start seeing signs of that the moment you accept what you conceive within is real. Just a little advice and reminder for you guys, because again, I've been getting a lot of questions about it. Remember, I am doing coaching calls. I will put my email in the description. Email me, we'll set up a time for a coaching, and I will help you work on any aspect of your life you want to work on in the easy and effortless way of interiorism. I'll help you live free. We have a lot of exciting videos coming up this week, ladies and gentlemen. I'm working on a few here in the next few days, so stay tuned to our channel. If you appreciate the material, please subscribe to the channel below, hit the bell button so you'll get alerts for the videos as they come out. Please do hit the like button on our videos. It helps us with the algorithm, helps us get the word out, and you will be sending positive energy and joining this community of Master Manifestors. So until very soon, with much love and appreciation, this is Javier with The Real Javier Novoa, bidding you a great middle of the week.